gathered from Kelly's knowledge was one of conversation that we had back then on the idea of how do you bring together design thinking and leadership. So we still have that one open. I think I kept on saying it. We have to go back to it. But today we talk about something else. So I'll let you take us through the conversation.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Stella. It's had a great pleasure of getting to know Stella and Anna and Naomi yesterday, and I was very inspired. So, how did this conversation even happen with Christina a few months ago? I met Christina at the ICF Coaching Lab in November of 2024, and then shortly after she said, you know what, we're having an event in Berlin, a workshop on future leadership. You know, what would you like to talk about? And I said, well, it's not really about me, is it? When I'm public speaking, it's really about you. And I'm trying to think of a topic which might be different, might inspire you, because I love giving food for thought. So we're talking today about leadership and the brain in times of constant change. First of all, why does this interest me at all? Well, let's start with leadership. First of all, it's because I've experienced as an employee the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of leadership. So I had a 20-year career before I actually became a coach. And now as the head of coaching science at a digital coaching platform, leadership is my day-to-day, understanding how can we enable leadership, what is leadership, how to build the competencies, thank you for bringing in that word, Anna, of leaders. And the brain interests me. Well, actually, I was thinking, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was thinking, why have I always been interested in the brain? It's something we don't think about a lot. I'm an organizational psychologist, full disclosure. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I love talking about the brain. Not least of all because, like many of you, I'm a middle-aged woman, and things are happening right now that I can't explain. And so, whoa, like, nor can my husband for that matter, but anyway, or my 3 children. But, so I did a lot of understanding of what's happening with a middle-aged woman's body, and I did a wonderful class at Harvard when I got my master's called Lifestyle Medicine. And I was very, very inspired by the head of an institution that let me know that our physiology is controlled by our brain. Leadership is all about the brain. So I invite you today to be curious. Even with this picture, by the way, showing a picture of a dog is doing something with your brains. So I'm inviting you to be curious about leadership, your roles as leaders, your roles as coaches, and especially what's happening with your coachees. Because whether they're people managers or not, they're probably showing up as leaders, as role models in their work environment. And I want to give you a little bit of insight, which is based on science, because I'm a behavioral scientist. I like to know things based on study and academics. And I'll give you my resources. You'll see at the bottom of my slides, I always put where my knowledge comes from, to inspire you to really think about leadership in the brain. So I'm here in my capacity as head of coaching science for Speaks, a digital coaching platform. But really what I'm bringing with me is all of me. Me as a mom, as a daughter of parents that are aging, and as a leader myself. I'm also a board member of a nonprofit empowering women. I'm absolutely passionate about gender leadership as well. So I don't have the opportunity for a Q&A today, but please just speak to me after the event. We're a small group, and I've gotten to know a lot of you already, so please just speak to me or connect with me on LinkedIn. So our time's going to go fast together. What do I want to talk about? Insight into the new normal. Think about your leaders, the coaches, the coachees that are in your life, the people that are in your life. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about insight into the new normal, how many major changes you can expect in your life, and how many changes are your leaders going through. And when I talk leader, I'm not just talking, the head of the company or the C-level. I'm talking really anybody that shows up at work knowing that their behavior is being observed. They might be people managers, they might be individual contributors, but they're showing up in their life as a leader. I use a very broad definition of leadership. I'm not just talking about people in positions of power. I'm talking all of us in the room here that are trying to do good things and that know that our behavior is being observed. We're leaders at home as well, by the way, as parents. We're leaders in our community, showing up at schools. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. Then stress in the brain, I want you to know, let's talk a little bit about the stressed brain, because we're stressed. As a society, we're very stressed. Brain health, I'd love to share with you how coaching positively impacts the brain. We do good work. And I don't even know if all of us really know why that's so effective, why coaching conversations are so powerful. I grew up asking why. It probably drove my parents insane. And so after I had the experience of a failed technology startup where I saw incredible dysfunction amongst very smart people, I was asking why. Why did it happen? Why did we fail? So I went back to school in my 40s. I chose Harvard because I was on the East Coast of the US on an expat assignment with my husband anyway. And yeah, I just kept asking why. Why is it so difficult when we get together and try to achieve something together? Because the definition of leadership, actually, my favorite definition is from organizational psychologist Tomasz Przemucic, who says, leadership is a process where we work together in pursuit of a goal. Yeah, that's it. We don't need to make it more complicated than what it is. It's a process of working together to achieve something. So, a little bit about all this change that I'm talking about. I'm going to look at 3 levels: world, work, self. And I'm going to give you some fascinating statistics. First of all, in terms of world, I don't know if any of you know the PESTEL acronym, P-E-S. Yes, I see some nodding. A lot of people that have done MBA know that we can look at the world in terms of not just AI, which is around technology, but around politics, economics. Just as I read these off, think about what's happening in the world. And if you ever want to listen to me when I talk about gendered leadership, I'm going to tell you why I'm kind of unhappy of where we are, because I'm raising 3 kids and they're inheriting a world that I'm not too happy with. So, political, economic, societal, we have so much happening in all these levels, all this change, realigning of gender roles. If you don't think that that's not affecting how I parent, I mean, you've got to listen to the conversations that I'm having with my 13-year-old when she comes home from school and says, now I'm addressing a teacher as mix. I'm like, okay, let's have a conversation about that. All these changes are affecting us and our stress levels and our ability to navigate today. Technological, we've had a lot of talk about that in the last day or two, legal, and environmental. You know what made me really sad a couple weeks ago is my 20-year-old son, who is studying in Canada, said to me, Victor was his name, he said, you know, Mom, I'm kind of sad about my future. And I was like, what? Why would you be sad? You know, you're at the cusp of your life. You're studying finance at a wonderful university. You're away from home. I know his lifestyle. He's partying a lot, not just a little bit. But he said, you know what I'm sad is because probably in my generation, by the time I'm, 10 years older, there will be no more polar bears. Seriously, that's what occupies my 20-year-old. There will be no polar bears. And he's like, thanks, Mom. Thanks for you and your generation and the former generations. So this is the world we're living in. A lot of change, a lot of disruption. So in terms of work, there's the statistics I want to give you because a lot of your clients are probably working for enterprise corporations. The average employee faces 10 enterprise changes a year. 10. So we're talking a new boss, a new process, the adoption of AI, a new organizational change, an acquisition, a merger, a divestiture, 10 changes. That's exhausting. So as I said, my resources are always at the bottom. If you're interested, a lot of them come from HBR. This happened to be an article that really fascinated me, because I'm always thinking, well, what does that mean for me as a coach? What does it mean? I have to be having conversations about systemic coaching. I have to understand the world that my coachee is showing up as. So managers and employees report an alarming rate of stress and burnout, right? Gallup, I'm sure a lot of you know Gallup statistics. 41% of global employees are stressed a lot the previous day. So the statistic, we're stressed, right? You can debate in an organizational psychology sense, is it stress, is it strain, what impact does it have on us? And I'm going to be talking a little bit later about cortisol. The world of work has entered what futurist John Seeley Brown calls the whitewater era. If you're not thinking about that when you're coaching, you're not doing your coachee justice. It's a time of rapid and unpredictable change. It's exhausting. Managers and employees report an alarming rate of stress and burnout. So a part of our role as coaches is probably, how do we have these conversations, maybe? And I don't have all the answers. Sometimes when I'm coaching, I don't know how to bring it up. I've had coachees before that block the topic of mental and physical health. It's not, I'm not saying these are easy, but these are things that we need to know. And stressed employees are less productive. So I have these conversations with HR leaders. Stressed employees are less productive. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, do you have an employee assistance program in place? Are you giving your people coaching as a tool? Which is a competitive advantage, by the way. So managers and employees report an alarming rate of burnout. Yes, 56% of leaders and managers report feeling burned out. Well, why is that? Because it's gotten really complex. It's gotten really complex, and the expectations on leaders is high. I have an incredible amount of empathy for leaders in enterprise companies today. An incredible amount of empathy. So constant and rapid change is the new normal. Let's just look at ourselves. So there's a wonderful book that a coach recommended to me a few years ago called Life is in the Transitions. It's a play on words. Life is in the Transitions by Bruce Feiler. And he had some amazing statistics. 36 is the average number of transitions that you all and I will have in a lifetime. Looked very different a few decades ago, right? I have the good fortune that my parents are still alive. They're in their 80s. Look very different. So I'm talking, in terms of transitions, it's just another word for change. And what Bruce Feiler described is there are minor changes, right? He's even got these on matrices where he says changes are individual or collective, right? The pandemic would be a collective change in all of our lives. And then there's voluntary and involuntary. That's how my mind worked. I really liked how he classified, he's a journalist and a researcher, how he classified life's changes through hundreds of interviews with people. So these small changes, let's just call them disruptors if we use Bruce Feiler's words. Life is in the Transitions is the book. Tim mentioned that there was a phase in his life, as there was a phase in my life, where a whole lot of disruptors come all at once. I love the word that Bruce Feiler uses for that. He calls it a life quake. Like earthquake, life quake. And some of your coachees are experiencing life quakes. I have personally found, just in giving my coachees that vocabulary and frame, they're like, oh yeah. And it gives them pause. Help them see the big picture of what they're going through and give them some language around it. So a life quake can be things like failure of a tech company in there. God forbid, divorce, loss of a sibling, a parent, life quakes, lots of disruptors altogether. And your coachees, this is their reality. So try to help them understand if they're in a life quake. So 36 is the average number of transitions. That means actually we all are experiencing a transition every 12 to 18 months in our adult life, right? It's a move, it's a new job, it's a parent passing, it's having a baby, it's constant, it's new. Our brains, by the way, are not meant for this. Our brains are not meant for this. So how does coaching help? Well, this is the good news for us. And this is what I talk to my prospect clients about, because we do B2B business, digital coaching at scale. Coaching helps reduce stress. Chronic stress can alter the brain. Raise your hand if you've heard of the neurochemical cortisol. Yeah? Too much cortisol, bad. Can really affect your physiology. Incredibly. We don't even recognize anymore when we're living under constant cortisol. We don't recognize it anymore. Coaching can help prevent burnout, help your clients make different decisions. Burnout can lead to cognitive impairment. Memory loss. Coaching can help improve decision making. I'll talk a little bit on the next page about why that is. Because again, I needed to understand why. Like, isn't that fascinating? How does coaching help us improve decision making? I have a coach. I love talking to a coach. You start to see the big picture. And obviously, coaching helps improve goal setting. And goal setting and achievement is a key element of coaching. It's the foundation. And it releases, when you move the needle towards your goal. I was thinking a lot about what Emily was talking about yesterday, our resident ICF astronaut. Goal setting releases dopamine. Goal setting, moving towards your goal, is incredibly satisfying. So the explanation in terms of neuroscience is dopamine. Who doesn't want more dopamine? Get more dopamine in your life from good things, not from social media or gambling or all of these things that are increasing, which are bad for us, bad for your brain. I have a dog. I feel like I'm saying, Cooper, that's bad. Don't do that. Even though it gives you a shot of dopamine, let's try to think together about what are good hits of dopamine. So why does coaching work? This kind of fascinated me so much. I actually got to meet Boyatzis. Does anybody know Boyatzis? Okay. Well, what you might find fascinating is in his book, he talks about brain scans. And he did brain scans of people's brains before and after coaching, but it had to be a special kind of coaching, right? It's the coaching that helps your coachee think about their dream and their vision. And he did brain scans, and it was like, wow, did you know that if you help your coachees tap into their dreams and visions, that it lights up a part of their brain? Literally in brain scans, this was done in 2013, his study with Anthony Jack, where he could actually document that good coaching really activates the brain, which helps big picture thinking, motivation, and learning, and it helps you stay calm and focused. So I thought, as a kind of a gift to you coaches, I want you to know that you're doing really good things for your coachees. You're activating their brain. It's really about their brain. And we know today that the brain and the body is one thing. It's one thing. There is no mind, body anymore. It's one thing. If you can affect somebody's brain, you're affecting their physiology, because these neurochemicals, they don't just stay up here, they're coursing through your blood. Cortisol is in your blood, but dopamine can be in your blood. The feeling oxytocin, which is potentially activated in a coaching situation, human coaching situation. I don't know if it can be activated with AI coaching. I'm very curious about that. Super curious. Can you have that, the oxytocin and working alliance, like that benefit from the working alliance and human connection through looking into somebody's eyes and soul? Can you get that with AI? I don't know, but I'm open to finding out. But that's what you're doing for your coachees. And this brain state, when you're able to activate that part of your coachee's brain through good coaching, makes them feel safe, energized, probably somewhat vulnerable to being curious about themselves. It helps them imagine new possibilities and helps them engage more deeply. So I know I'm running out of time, but I wanted to leave you with one thing, and that is there are other things that you can do for your brain and your coachees can do for their brains. It's not just coaching. What other things are good for your brain? I did a workshop at Speaks the other week, and I was so impressed that our team knew exercise good for the brain. That's the first thing I learned in lifestyle medicine with Dr. Beth Frades that blew my mind. I don't need to work out for, my physical physique anymore. Like, that's not my motivation. My motivation is it makes me feel awesome because I get the serotonin, the dopamine, the endorphins. Meditation, great for the brain. Nature, brain games, being hydrated, music, learning, gratitude. Help your clients understand that all these things are good for the brain. Social connection, sunlight, mindfulness, healthy diet. These are things that are good for the brain. So as much as we can adopt AI and really embrace technology, let's not forget what's up here.